So as an update to my video number 45, where I made a display for the patches and pins that I received in the Funko Marvel and Star Wars subscription boxes, and I noticed that I never received the Rogue One box for the Star Wars Smuggler's Bounty. Well, I contacted Funko and they were like, well, it's been quite a long time, and we normally wouldn't do this, but since you've never really had any complaints or anything before, we'll go ahead and send you a one-time replacement for that box. So I got that today, so let's really quickly go through it, because this isn't actually the point of this video. So first off, the two things right off the bat that are most important, because they're the two things that made me realize that I never even received this box, and that is the patch, which has Cassian Andor on it, and the pin, which has K2SO. I cannot tell you how many times I just had to redo that, because I could not for the life of me remember Cassian Andor. Because outside of Jyn Erso and Galen Erso and K2SO, and then the characters that were in all the other Star Wars movies, the newer characters in Rogue One, I cannot remember their names at all. Next up is the card that shows everything that's in there, but we won't look at that because we, don't want to get it spoiled. And then, of course, the thing that shows what the next box is, which I already received, and it was Empire Strikes Back. It has this really awesome Han Solo on a Tauntaun pop, which I would show you, but it's all the way over there and I don't want to go grab it. First thing in the box proper, we have a shirt here. Again, it looks kind of like the Rebel shirt. It looks kind of like the Guardians of the Galaxy 2 shirt. There's Jyn Erso and Cassian Andor and those two guys, and then that guy and Darth Vader and the Death Star. Again, outside of Jyn Erso, I don't really remember the names. Next is a Hikari mini of Darth Vader. He's kind of see-through a little bit, and he's sparkly. I don't know that I really like the Hikari minis that much, but, I mean, Darth Vader. And then there is an Imperial Death Trooper. That's what he looks like there, kind of, because he's hard to see within the box, as you see. Smuggler's Bounty exclusive. And last we have a Jyn Erso pop. Of course, the only character whose name other than K2SO that I remember. Jyn Erso. There you go. So there you have it. I'm really glad that Funko sent that to me and believed that I didn't receive it and was just like, oh, I never received it. Although, I mean, if you check the tracking order, it's like it left the warehouse and then that's it. That's where the tracking ends. There's nothing else beyond that. So they know that it was never delivered to me. But yeah, that would have really sucked if I didn't end up getting that, because, I mean, I paid for it. But anyway, on to the video proper, which I currently have no idea what that's going to be about, because it is May 8th and this video doesn't go live until May 20th, so I have some time to think of what this video is going to be. Roll the thing. Hey guys, Sean here. So this week I'm trying out a new microphone, which you can see here clipped on my lapel, and we will see if it happens to pick up the sound of them stomping around upstairs, or if it picks up the sounds of Buddy doing whatever it is he's doing over there right now. It's just all an experiment at this point, but that's not really the point of the video. So when I was looking at the calendar of when this video would be posting, I was noticing that it was May 20th. May 19th is the anniversary of the date that I moved to California. It would have been 11 years ago this year. And so I decided that I would make a list of my 10 favorite things about California over the last 11 years. Keep in mind, they're in no particular order. First off is something that is not exclusive to California, but if you live in the United States, California takes up a large portion of it, and that is the Pacific time zone. So what are the benefits of living in the Pacific time zone? Well, if there is a live event going on, like say the Super Bowl, it will air much later on the East Coast than it does in the Pacific. When it's done here, there's still time to do stuff afterwards, whereas it could be like 1 a.m. on the East Coast and they need to be going to bed immediately after it ends. I know it's just a silly little thing that doesn't really come up that often because I don't watch a lot of live television, but it's a nice thing to have, to just be able to be like, I can watch the thing and there's still time in the rest of the night to do something else. I don't have to go to bed immediately. Next is something else that I don't really take a lot of advantage of, but I like knowing that it's there, and that is different biomes. So what exactly does different biomes mean? Well, from where I live, that means that within an hour to 2 hours, I can be in any of the different types of biomes that there are on the planet Earth, other than jungle, I would say. Within 30 minutes, I could be at the beach, or if I wanted to be in a desert, I could be in one in about an hour and a half, or if I wanted to be in the mountains, I could be in the mountains in about an hour and a half. If I wanted to be in a major metropolitan city, I could be in LA in about an hour. If I wanted to be in a slightly lesser metropolitan city, I could just be where I am in downtown Long Beach. If I wanted to go to suburbs, I can go to suburbs. If I wanted to go to just open plains, I could go there in about an hour and a half. Now, the ironic thing is that when I originally conceived of doing the biomes topic, I had this idea of actually going to each of the biomes and recording a shot of me there saying the name, like, you know, going to the desert and being like desert, and then going to the mountains and being like mountain. But I kind of ran out of time. See, it may be quick to get to those places, but to get to all of those places in a short amount of time, that is not as easy. But it's still doable. You just need to plan ahead a little bit more. But yeah, as I said, I don't really take advantage of that stuff. But I like that it's there. And speaking of biomes, let's talk about the major thing that everyone discusses when talking about Southern California, and that is the weather. There is a very major reason why real estate costs so much in Southern California, and that is the weather. When it gets cold here, it never gets ridiculously cold, and when it gets hot here, it doesn't get too unbearably hot unless you live in the valley. But if you live in the valley, most likely you have air conditioning of some kind, and if you don't have air conditioning of some kind, you've learned how to adapt to the unbearable heat of the valley, or else you wouldn't still be living in the valley. Yes, of course, you may not be able to afford to live anywhere else outside of the valley, but if that's the case, then you have plenty of other things that you need to be worrying about than the ridiculous, unbearable heat, although probably not, because you could potentially die in the ridiculous, unbearable heat. But the heat does not last that long, kind of the point of the weather being so amazing in Southern California. There's a reason everyone talks about it. It's amazing. Next up is something I've actually talked about a lot on this channel, and that is conventions. There's at least 5 major conventions that I go to in the Southern California area every year, and that includes WonderCon, E3, VidCon, Long Beach Comic Con, and Kamikaze. And that's not even counting any other random convention I might go to, like Scare LA or even CES if I go there ever again. For me, conventions really aren't so much about the stuff that you can only buy there, or the stuff you can only see there, although I like those things. The main thing that I like about conventions is being able to meet people that you can't meet other places. I'm talking about actors and voice actors and cosplayers. As you may have seen on my channel, I have shown lots of pictures that I have gotten with actors and voice actors and cosplayers and had them sign it and just had a moment with them and was able to tell them, I really enjoy what you do. Thank you for doing it. And conventions are like one of the only places that you can do that. Also, they make really good content for this channel. But I digress. And speaking of conventions and being able to meet people you wouldn't be able to other places, just celebrities in general. Now, I don't hang out in LA or Hollywood all that often, so it's not like I see celebrities all the time, but living in Southern California, you will see random celebrities every once in a while. 2 quick examples. One time when I went to the movies, I saw David Koechner there. If you don't know who David Koechner is, Google his name. If you don't know how to spell David Koechner, that's really not that surprising because it's spelled really weird. Here, it's spelled like this, David Koechner. Now you can Google it. And once you do, you'll be like, oh yeah, that guy. I've seen that guy in lots of things. Or if you're my mom and my stepfather, you'll be like, I still have no idea who that is. And second story, I can't really remember exactly where I was flying, but I got on the plane, and when I was walking through first class, Paul Giamatti was on the plane. That was kind of cool. Actually, no, I do remember. It was when I was flying to New York for a work event. So that's actually not all that uncommon. If you fly to New York from LA, you're kind of likely to have a celebrity on the plane when you're flying either back or forth. I mean, it's not 100% possible, but you know, it's more possible than flying anywhere else, I can tell you that much. And speaking of flying, another place I love going but hate flying to and will never have to again because I live in Southern California, that is Las Vegas. I try to find some reason to go to Las Vegas at least once every year, which is really surprising because I don't drink and I don't necessarily gamble that much, but I just really love going there. I think it's because it's such a major destination city that does not take a long time to get to. That's why I really enjoy going there. If they ever manage to build that bullet train from LA to Las Vegas, that's going to be even better because that's going to really loosen up the roads, because I'm never going to ride that thing because that thing's going to be super expensive, and besides also it's never really going to be built. Next thing on the list is opportunities. What exactly does that mean? Well, when I first moved here, I started doing extra work in TV and movies. What exactly does that mean? Well, when you're watching a TV show or a movie and there's all the people in the background, those are extras. Those are just people that were paid to pretend like they're walking across the street or whatever. I greatly enjoyed doing it. It was one of my favorite things I've ever done in my life. It didn't pay worth anything, and I could not continue living in Southern California if I kept doing it, so I had to stop and find something else to do. Talk about celebrities. That's when you really see the celebrities, because they're forced to, because they're, working. Still don't approach them though. That's a no-no. Well, unless you're a hot girl, then of course you can approach them, because as Adam Carolla says, the biggest celebrity in the room is the hottest girl in the room. It's not misogynist, it's true. So I needed to find a more stable job to continue living in Southern California, so what did I do? I went to the video game industry, and I started working on a project, and 3 months later, after it ended and I got laid off, I was like, okay, I need to find a more stable job, and so I started working at Target. And yes, you can work at Target anywhere in basically the world. But I then got called back to my job at the video game company, and I've been working there ever since. Video game companies, not all over the world. Okay, well yes, there are a lot of video game companies all over the world, but they're not, there isn't one in Kansas. Although I bet if I just searched right now for video game company in Kansas, I would probably find something, but not one you've heard of that you would want to actually work for. There's just also lots of events that you can go to around here, like live podcasts record all the time. Like the aforementioned Adam Carolla, he's going to be recording in Irvine in a few weeks, and I'm really considering going to that if I could find anyone to go to it with me. I haven't really asked, so that's kind of on me that I haven't found anyone to go with me yet, but whatever. And also, any major band that goes on tour, they will guaranteed go through Southern California, sometimes twice, within really close distances of each other, so you can see your favorite bands multiple times. But yeah, there's just lots of stuff you can do here that I never do, so it's funny that I would bring this up, because I never really do that much, but again, knowing that I can, that's what I like. Next on the list is this. Disneyland. Yes, of course it is a corporate greed house full of capitalistic no-gooders and all of that, but it is still the happiest place on earth. It is also the reason for the very first time I ever came to California, and so it has a special place in my heart, and so, of course, whenever I can afford it, I will purchase an annual pass. But as long as I can, I will always have an annual pass to Disneyland, because it's one of my favorite places to go, and it cheers me up when I'm down. And as you've seen from my videos, it makes for good content, so that's the main reason that I come here. This is by no means the end of this particular visit to Disneyland. I'm not saying tune in next week, but tune in next week. Anyway, back to the guy in the studio? Was it? Back to the other guy. Thank you. Next on the list is, of course, Buddy. Now, I know what you're saying. You could get a cat anywhere. Cats are in Colorado. Yes, that is true. But Buddy was only in Southern California. And look at how sweet he is. Look at how much he loves me. Look at how much he loves this right now. Look at... Okay, don't look. But seriously, I couldn't have gotten that anywhere else. That was purely Southern California. And last on the list is all of the friends I've made in Southern California. Now, yes, when I originally moved here from Colorado and I was leaving most of my friends and family behind, it wasn't in complete unknown because my best friend was living here, and her family were a major support structure for me. But after about 5 or 6 years of me living here, she got married and moved to Pennsylvania and then eventually to Oregon. But by the time my best friend moved away, it wasn't as big of a deal because I had made new friends in Southern California. And they are my support structure now. I know that if I needed anything, they would be there for me. Do I miss my friends and family in Colorado? Of course I do, but the hurt is much less because I have people here that care about me as well. And so that's why my friends are the best part of Southern California. Now the question is, how many of them are going to see this video? Passive-aggressive or aggressively passive? So there you have it, no particular order except for the last two, kinda. My 10 favorite things about living in Southern California over the last 11 years. Why didn't I do 11 things? Quite honestly, I couldn't think of 11 things. But hey, do you like living where you're currently living? If so, let me know in the comments down below where it is you're living and what it is you love about living there. And while you're down there, go ahead and hit the like button if you liked this video, and hit the subscribe button if you'd like to see more of the crazy crap that goes on around here. I don't know what it is myself. And if you'd like to support the crazy crap that goes on around here, go ahead and hit up my Patreon. Hopefully the new lapel microphone helped out. It did. And with that, have a good however long it is until you watch my next video.